Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this Scriptcase video. So this week we are covering Scriptcase and Wordpress, or Wordpress and Scriptcase. However way you like, it is your preference, of course, it doesn't really matter. So the main topic, of course, Scriptcase. How do we use our applications, our Scriptcase applications within WordPress? And so far, we have done a few things. So we have, first of all, created a few applications here. We generated a dashboard. We've generated 2 grid applications, one of which we have added here to the dashboard. We've also added a few basic widgets. I've done very simple customizations there, nothing spectacular, just really basic and quick content. So all of that I have pretty much done in half of the time, in fact probably a quarter of the time that it has actually taken me for the WordPress setup. The WordPress setup all in itself with WooCommerce and everything else is pretty much half a day's work, and with that, well, within Scriptcase, within half a day we can do a great deal more, as of course many of you already know. And if you are new to Scriptcase, then know that Scriptcase is your speedy little tool that you have there that you can use to really quickly generate wicked applications, whether that be grids, forms, dashboards, calendars, blank applications where you can create your own applications. If you can code, then of course you can pretty much create anything you need within Scriptcase. Now, Scriptcase allows us then to create all of these applications. So far we've created here the dashboard. So here I have the dashboard application with the free widgets I have there displayed. So let's go back there. So here the free widgets, and here another widget which is displaying then the grid application, and that is at the bottom here. And what we are wanting to do is actually display that here within our WordPress. So I had mentioned within the first part of this training of this video that this is a completely new setup on WordPress locally. Okay, so that is very important. It is a local installation of WordPress using the latest version of WAMP server, and with that we can then go ahead and set up WordPress beautifully and also test out the latest and greatest features of Scriptcase. So that is of course using using Scriptcase 8.1 with PHP 8.1, which of course then provides us a little faster environment, or should I say a much faster environment, because it is on average a 60 to 70% speed increase. So with that, as we see already, WordPress is taking its time here, and this is more than likely because of the Elementor plugin, because that is also very slow locally. Okay, so while that is spinning, and I will jump here to the database, but that is also spinning. So let's have a quick break. I'll be right back, and then we can have a quick look at those. Okay, so the browser did crash on me there, and of course had to start up again. So here we have our Elementor, and checking back here in the database, we have here our WordPress database with all of our WordPress tables. The only addition here is the views that we have added, and these of course you'll be able to download within the project, and that will then also update all of these data for you. Now, the slight variances are there, as well as the additions to products and comments and so forth, so you may want to make adjustments to the database if you are importing it to a live environment. Otherwise, you will need to update and install WAMP first of all, update it to the latest version as I had explained within the previous video, and then with that you can then start to install WordPress or use a live hosting environment where WordPress is already installed and set up, and then from there you can then install WooCommerce and then add the extra tables with maybe the extra data so that you don't have to use the WooCommerce simulator, which is then the alternative. So you can use the WooCommerce simulator and actually troubleshoot and give yourself some experience within the store and set that up, and it will set up a simulation of people purchasing products on your store, which will then complete or fill out your database for you. In that case, do make sure that you have disabled emails, the plugin installed for that, so that your emails are disabled and you are not hammered via WordPress trying to send you all of those emails, so it's not generating errors and at the same time it's not filling up your email box. Okay, so then with our WordPress open, we have here our page edited and we have page selected, which was then basic sample page. And over the left hand side here, within each of these page builders, we always have multiple options for containers to drag and drop in here, an icon box, image box, star ratings, and all these little features which are pretty cool. But in general, we just need something simple, and that is a HTML box. So with the HTML box and that inserted into our WordPress page, we can then add some simple code into the container here. Like so, which is then an iframe. We specify then the source, and I have that set here as a sample folder within my WAMP directory. And it is important to note that I have also configured the project folder for my Scriptcase applications as a virtual host. So as a virtual host, I am then also very easily able to simply specify /sample/. So here is the virtual host name sample, and then apply a width and a height to this iframe. And just like that, then the iframe will be displayed here within this page. Now, at the moment, you can see it is actually an empty directory other than the _lib folder. Now, this is from a previous project I had installed here to make sure that it all worked and set it all up and see how it all worked in general, so I can show you with a bit more comfort and make sure that I had WordPress also set up and working and so forth. So at this stage, we could then pretty much access we can access our Scriptcase again, and from within Scriptcase, we can then go ahead to deploy our project. And then here, if I select then the deployment, so I start to deploy all of our applications, I will then also choose the typical or recommended deployment and click next. And then here, I always choose to publish with Fusion maps, even though I may not be using them within the project, and then also choose the operating system from which you are generating the applications. So I'm running this or running Scriptcase on a Windows machine. So for that, I will choose here the Windows operating system and then choose the initial application, which is then the dashboard application. Now, if I go ahead and click next, I have then the option to choose to create a zip file, which would actually be my typical deployment method. But in this case, I will deploy to a server directory. So here I can then indicate the server where I have WAMP installed. So it's on my C drive, WAMP64 www./sample/. And if I click then the next button, Scriptcase will go ahead and deploy all of the applications that we've just generated into that sample folder. Now, the application deployment can take a few moments, and of course, the more applications you have, the longer the deployment time can take. So it is generally quite an important time to make sure that you have everything within your applications before you deploy over and over again. Otherwise, you can, of course, waste a great deal of time just generating all of your applications for deployment each time. So during development, do try to keep everything locally within Scriptcase, run everything. You will have pretty much the same experience as you would have within any hosting environment. And then for testing your project, you can, of course, in my case, use WAMP and deploy your projects locally with a local database with local data, and of course troubleshoot and experience your platform as it should be once deployed on your project server. And then on your project server, you can have then a separate database. Now, one of the magic things, of course, we can do with Scriptcase is connect to multiple databases. And that is, of course, something that is then also possible. For instance, you could generate your project in a way that then connects to one database if it's live, and then another database if it is local. And these are all very easy and very rapid accessories or features that you can basically apply within Scriptcase with some knowledge using the macros and a little time. So once the applications have all been deployed, you will then see the folder to which they have been deployed to, as well as each of the applications and the time it had taken for the processing of all of those applications and files. And as we see, the environment takes the longest, with each of the applications taking on average around 4, 5, 15 seconds. And now returning back into WordPress, we can go ahead and update our page. And then we should also see here the new page that is then displayed. If we come here then to view the page, we can then view the page live within WordPress or within the local environment. And just like that, we can then also view the dashboard, which we have generated and applied to the page. And just like that, using an iframe, we are able to display any type of content using Scriptcase, and also either the WordPress tables or our own tables, and display custom content, or even display and create custom dashboards for informational purposes or alternative reasons. And of course that we can apply all within a few clicks using Scriptcase and of course WordPress. And I should note, the time it takes for WordPress may be a great deal more than it will be within Scriptcase. Okay, so now within our project, we could go ahead within our dashboard, and from here we could go ahead and add, for instance, another link widget. And for that, we had then also our grid comments and also the order product lookup. So we have here the grid comments already. So let's go ahead and add this time the grid order product lookup. Save that. And again, we can expand the size of that or even change the size of that so it fits better within the dashboard application. We can drag that then over to the right hand side, save that, and then go ahead and run the application again. And just like that, now we have two grid applications within here, and with a few adjustments, we can actually have them looking a little bit better with all the data that is displayed in there. Run that again, and just like so, we have made a few adjustments to our dashboard here, as well as then the data that is displayed. And of course, we could further customize this so we only have so many records displayed, that we have no toolbars displayed or no navigation bars displayed, so that we only have specific data within here. Or going a step further, we could also create a blank application and create our own custom content using all of the powerful tools and capabilities of Scriptcase within those said applications, and then also again deploy or display them within WordPress. Okay, so just like that, we have then two grid applications. We have some widgets with some indexes in here. Let's go ahead and generate one more application. And I really do like the calendar. So let's go ahead and create here a calendar application. And we don't actually have a table for that here yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table for that. And just like that, we can then have a specific calendar application using a separate table, or we could of course even link that to one of the other tables so that when we have data added, that they are also then added to the calendar. Otherwise, we can have the calendar separate from that. And just like that, we have a full-size calendar there. And what I want to then do is add that into here, our dashboard application. And just like so, we've added that. Again, I just need to drag that down out of the way. And then with our calendar application ready, we can, within our dashboard, and again the add link widget, and just click here within the link, and you see it adds all the applications below here. And if we have a long list of them, I can just deselect here the grid, and I will have the individual calendar or alternative applications directly available for me. I can just click that, save that again, and just like that, the calendar widget has now been added to the dashboard. Okay, so we do want to make a slight adjustment here with this. So I just want to drag this down here, first of all, out of the way of our other two widgets, and then make that full size. And again, increase the size of that a little. Now, if I go ahead and run that, we have then a really big dashboard with some grid applications, some widgets, and a calendar. Now that's pretty cool, and of course that then we can display within our other applications. And of course we could take that a step further by adding another application. So I come back to new application again, and this time say let's go ahead and create a tree menu. Create that. And then within the tree menu, I can go ahead and add here the dashboard, for instance. And that is just simply dashboard. I can enter that manually, or I can click here the link icon, and that then opens up another window. And from there, I can also choose that application. And if I go ahead and save that, we have then there the dashboard. But what I want to do is I want to actually make that look a little nicer. So I'm going to choose here on display font awesome icon. And then here I will go ahead and search for a dash icon. Like so, save that, and now if I go ahead and run, we'll have here then a dashboard, and clicking that will then open a tab with the dashboard application. And of course I could go ahead now and add further applications in here. For instance, here I can add the other grid application again, and for the third one also choose the alternative grid application that I had there, which was here the comments. Import that, save that, and then of course update here the titles, and add some images or font awesome icons here also. So speech bubble, spell speech, and there we go. Comment is what it's called, and then we have here the product. And then here, for instance, we can choose search for a box. There we go, a box for the product. Save that, run that again, and then just like so, we have a tree menu with 3 product items or grid applications, as well as the dashboard. And then that then becomes, on deployment, our new application to start with, instead of previously the dashboard. So if we deploy that again, choose the typical. Again, we need to overwrite our files. We don't need to publish Fusion charts again, because for the first time it was already added. The second time we don't have to add it again. I'll choose Windows again. We don't also need to deploy the common libraries or the common files, again, because we have already just deployed the same project and made no other changes. We have not added any libraries. We have not added any buttons or CSS styling within Scriptcase. We have not added any images or messages. We really just want to change here the initial application and choose next, as well as deploy the applications that we have just created. So again, we deploy to a server directory. So I will choose or enter the WAMP directory where I have the files located. Like so. So that is then my C drive, WAMP64 folder, the www folder, and then within the sample folder. And then if I just click next again, the new files, and as we see this time, It's Speedy Gonzalez, really fast, generates all of those applications in speedy time, and the applications for the project, all of the project files, which takes the longest, has already been deployed and is not required again the second time around. So now if I come back here to our page, and if we refresh our sample page here and scroll down, we now this time have our tree menu here with a dashboard, as well as the calendar added to that. And we will have then also the products grid, as well as the comments grid, which we can then manage separately. Of course, we can add forms in there and manage all of those aspects from this point, which you may or may not want to apply. That is, of course, entirely up to you. Do note that anything applied within the front end of WordPress is, of course, accessible to pretty much everybody, unless you have locked those pages within WordPress. So that is important to note. Okay. Now you can also install plugins which allow you to add iframes within the back end of WordPress, so that you can essentially create your own personal dashboard from relevant tables or fields that you have available, and also display them within the back end. But in general, using an iframe, you are able to use Scriptcase applications in any application. Okay, so with that ready, we could make further customizations here so that we can, slide in this menu so that the individual pages are opened instead of tabs and so forth. And all of that can, of course, then be further customized within Scriptcase. But for now, we have imported our applications into the WordPress demonstration that we have here. So let me just really quickly refresh everything, what we have or what the requirements are of this. And from there, you can, of course, go ahead and try it yourself. So the first thing you need is, of course, a version of Scriptcase, and you can download Scriptcase. So let me come here to the Scriptcase website, and you can download Scriptcase from the scriptcase.net website. And if I zoom in here, you have up here at the top corner the download option, and from there you can download a free version of Scriptcase which you are able to use and try out. And if at any time during that period you have any questions, any doubts, or you need any help, go ahead, click here the help and chat window. And right now, Amelia is available. During the day, you may have somebody else available, and those people will then be happy to help you further and help you with any of your questions or doubts. And I should also note, Scriptcase has just been released with the latest PHP 8.1, which speeds up development, speeds up the generation times, and of course secures and stabilizes Scriptcase as well as all of your created and generated applications. And with, of course, a long lead time or secure time, let's say, PHP 8.1 will be provided or supported for a great deal longer, just like the previous version 7.4. Okay, so with that, we have then our Scriptcase installed. We can then create any type of application. Now, one of the important aspects which I have left out so far is maybe the requirement for security, because of course you can generate security applications, create your security, and also use that within WordPress, within those applications, and display that within those said applications. But in most cases, you will more than likely want to have your applications open. So if I come here to the dashboard application, for instance, in all of these Scriptcase applications, we have some very similar options available within these left-hand menus. Within the dashboard, calendar, and tree menu, they may be slightly different than the rest of them. For instance, if you open a grid or a form, the left-hand options will near enough be identical. So here we have then within the left-hand menu the option security, and as I said, that is also available within all other applications. For instance, here we have the calendar, and if you come here to application and form settings, you open up all of these other options, programming also, and you have a great deal more options available. For the tree menu, application programming, again, slightly different, but the majority of options are pretty much the same. For instance, here for the tree menu, we have security at the top here. For the calendar application, we have security here within the form settings. And that is then also the same for the form, as well as the grid application. You will find the security within the form settings options here. And then with that option open, on the right hand side here we have a load of new buttons here and some extra features, and these are all of the security features. Now if you want to use security in general, when you generate the security, it will apply security to all of your applications unless you have specifically told it otherwise. Now in most cases you can go ahead and just choose allow it to apply security everywhere. And then you can either manually in each individual application access security and uncheck here the use security option. And with this unchecked, you will not require a login to access this page. Otherwise, with security, if I go ahead and run that application now, you will see that it will be requesting a user login. And as an unauthorized user or without a login identified as within the security platform, then you will not be able to access that application. So that is very important for the importing within iframes or regardless when you are using security as well as alternative applications. Now, if you have many applications, then you can do that really quickly just up here within application and express edit. You can choose all applications or select applications. So if you've just gone ahead and generated your security and said, yes, apply security to all, I will manually change a few afterwards. Then from here with the express edit, you can very quickly choose those few applications that you require the security change. Select those, click next, and then down here we have then security options. Choose here use security, click next again, and from there you can say yes or no on those specific applications. Apply that, and within a few moments all of those applications will then be open or closed depending on your requirements. So those are some important notes that are for this kind of project, but in general you can use Scriptcase with any type of project. So whether that be WordPress or any other CMS network or framework, should I say, if you can use an iframe, you can import a Scriptcase application and of course enjoy the full power of Scriptcase within another application or platform. So thank you very much for watching this Scriptcase video. My name is Jamie Oates, and of course I hope to catch you within the next one. And of course I hope to catch you all again soon, but until then, do make sure you are in this week's webinar, and of course you catch up on any other tips or feedback or questions regarding this project and so forth. Otherwise, of course, do be sure to join us in the next one. So thanks again, enjoy your weekend, and until then, have a good one.